Okay, great. Good evening to everyone. Very excited to kick off the November projects, both the beginners and also the advanced project tonight. Although we have already officially started the project, all of you should have already received the tasks, and hopefully you have downloaded the data. But this would be the first opportunity for us to really get together, and I will have the chance to introduce about what the DsBlast program what it's about, and what we're gonna need, what the projects look like. And feel free to stop me if you have any questions, and just you can raise your hand or send me a message. But try to keep quiet on your side. If there's any background noise, you can feel free to mute yourself. So there'll be no background noises to disturb the meeting. Oh, you cannot hear me? Can you hear me? Can majority of you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So John, you may have some problem on your side, maybe your headset. Okay. So it seems like this is an isolated problem. Now, this is the outline of tonight's the agenda. So first, I'll talk a little bit more about what is data science. The relationship between we heard a lot of buzz about data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, what they're about, and what we are doing here. What to some extent can help us learn more and gain some experience in this very strong, very growing very fast field. So hopefully I'll get some background information to all of you, which you may not be very new. It may not be have a lot of experience in this field. So hopefully I can give you some introductory background. Then the next one is why we are doing this, why we are taking the DsBlast projects. What we can benefit from taking the projects, what we should expect, and also what I expect from you. Then what a project looks like. So you're starting getting tasks, so you may already have some the first impression of what the project looks like, but it would be still good to just give a overall introductory of how a project looks like and how it goes. And then many people were asking what kind of tools we may use. So I will give some information about the basic tools, both in the communication and also in the computation. Then last but not least, I will give some Python and the pandas in just basic tutorial. That's for the benefit of the beginner project students, but hopefully will also refresh the knowledge for advanced project students as well. Although I refer you as students, but I really don't treat you as students. But we are kind of in a learning community. I learned a lot from leading the projects, from the questions you guys are asking. So both you and myself are learning. So we're really just learn together. I really appreciate each and all of you are very respectful to call me and treat me in a very respectful way, and I do my best to treat you in the same manner, with all the respect, with all the honesty. So anything I know, I would say I know. I will tell you whatever I know. But in case, if you ask me about something I don't really know a lot about, I will do my due diligence to research the answer, and I will pass the answer to you and try to explain the answer to you. But if something is just way beyond my knowledge, way beyond my capability, I will just, honestly to tell you, I don't know. So I will treat you as, the same way you will treat me. The first thing is we're gonna talk about overall in general, like what is data science and what is machine learning and the relationship with the very hot artificial intelligence. Um, so um, the the three buzzwords or three terms are very closely related. So data science actually is, I would say, is the broadest term, which covers everything about using data to do the analysis, identify patterns, to discover knowledge and insight, and also apply the insights to the real problems. So it's really, from basically from the meaning of the name, data science is just about the science about the data. So everything about data will be covered by data science. So a lot of things we are going to do on the project is associated with data science. Like we need to read the data, we need to process the data, clean the data, do some exploratory analysis, do some hypothesis testing, do some visualization, then do the feature engineering, identify the important features, do some clusterings, classifications. It's all about, trying to find something interesting from data. Then it comes to machine learning. So machine learning is actually it's a much narrow discipline. It's more focused on training a machine to learn from the data. So first we need to feed the machine. Basically the machine is not the hardware, but more like the software. So we use programming language like Python, R, Java, Scala. We use some certain programming language to develop a program which represent the machine. So use such program to learn from the data, learn the patterns, learn some the rules, the intelligence from the data. So so that's the core of data science. We need to feed the data into such programs so the program can learn from the data. But we need to pay attention to the like the saying says the garbage in, garbage out. So we need to feed the program with good quality of data so that the program can learn from the good data. If the data is bad, then the program, it doesn't matter how good the program is, it will not learn much from the data. Let me just take a look at the message part since there's a lot of discussion. So okay, people are trying to help John. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep moving on. So both machine learning and data science will be the core part of our projects. So we will do the data analysis, processing, cleaning. Then we will use the data to train a model, train a program, so that the program can learn from the data and can get trained. Then use the trained knowledge to to be generalized to some new data to provide the directions estimation. So both machine learning and the data science will be covered in our projects. But AI, what AI is about? AI is artificial intelligence. So it's more like let the machine to gain some capabilities like human beings. So like train a program, a machine to recognize the pictures, understand languages, and also can provide speeches or texts. So those kind of intelligence, which is artificially made, but very close to human intelligence or human knowledge. But it's very it's just like it sounds sexy, but it's actually we're way far away from have AI in our real life. So we're getting there, step by step. We're getting close, but it's still it's kind of a future term. So that's the relationship about data science, machine learning, and AI. Then I have some word cloud on the right side of my slide. It shows what the big data or data science it's about. So it's mostly related to like machine learning, data mining, and some programming language like Python and R, like in this case, and some BI tool like Tableau, and also big data platform like Hadoop, Apache Spark. So those are the platform that support parallel and distributed computation in the realm of a big data, which is way more than the single machine memory can handle. So in that case, if the the data set is too big, we have to utilize or leverage a cluster of computers to distribute the computation. So that's all about. It's very challenging, very interesting, very exciting new field, and you must have heard that people saying data scientists will be the most sexist job position in the 21st century. And from my perspective, that's probably true, because to be a data scientist, you need to have a very broad spectrum of skills. You need to have technical skills. You need to have math skills, and you also need to have a lot of business sense. So you are the person to bridge the gap between business and like engineering or technical, traditional statisticians. So we need to understand business. We also need to understand algorithms and be able to write software programs to do the proof of concept to get the algorithm and the model working. So that's what our project's about. So that's why we are taking the DsBlast projects. The advantages we offer here is the first and the foremost is it's practical. So everyone, each of you, is required and expected to get your hands dirty. So you get the chance to download the data. You have to understand the data, and from the data, you are trying to sharpen your business sense. You need to understand the data in the context of the business perspective. You need to understand what this data is about, what each of the fields is about, and how that field is generated, is created, and how one field is related to another one in a chronicle order. Some field is generated after some other fields, so they are in a sequential order. They're not really independent, individually independent. So sometimes we just assume, like if you get a data table, the columns are independent, but a lot of cases they are not. So from the business perspective, we need to understand, what this data set is about and how the fields are correlated to each other, not mathematical way, but in a business way. So you will get a chance to practice the business sense. You have the chance to practice your data processing skills, techniques, and also, of course, you have the chance to do the statistical analysis, modeling, visualization, and also, in the end of the project, for advanced project students, you have the chance to practice your presentation skill, to reason through your projects, what you have done, why you did this, and what's the strength and the weakness of your approach. And you need to justify your data, justify your approach, and justify your results. So we focus on practice. We believe practice makes perfect, and we learn by doing it. We learn from doing the real data science. And also, it's very different from traditional training courses or training institutions, because we are not teaching, we are not giving lectures, so it will be fully rely on yourself. So we promote self-driven learning. I assign tasks to you. You accept, receive the tasks, understand the tasks. If you have any question about a task, ask me. But once you have understand the task, then you go ahead, try to solve the task. During this process, you will identify the problems you may not know before. You find out, there's something you don't really understand before, even though you may have read it, you may have watched the video, you may have heard it many, many times. But just because you put your hands on top of the data, and when you get your hands dirty, try to solve the task, you find out there's still some gap between what you have learned, between what you can do. So first thing is identify the problem. Then once you have identified the problem, you go ahead to the internet, use Google to search solutions. You may use a lot of sources online. You may use YouTube. You may use Stack Overflow. You may get a lot of information here and there. Then you'll come back and try those solutions. You try those suggestions on your data. So that will go through a try and error process. So basically, you will see what works and what doesn't work. And during this process, it's kind of like you experiment, all kinds of different solutions, and you will find out what would be the best solution, what would be the best answer to your question. In case you couldn't, given the constraint of time and the resource, you couldn't find out the best solution, then ask me, or ask other students. Just raise the question, then I will come up and help you. And sometimes other students may have gone through the same problem. They already have been there, done that, so they know what the solution or answer to your question. So they may come up and answer your question as well. So we share. And we share the knowledge we learned, and during the sharing process, we learn from each other. Okay, so that's self-driven learning. So you take the driver's seat. You're not on the back seat. you're definitely on the front seat. You're driving, but I give you the guidance. I give you the help. Okay, I'm gonna put. Yeah, if you need to ask questions, you can unmute yourself. You still can speak. You just to avoid some unwanted background noises. I muted everyone. So as I said, I will provide the full spectrum of support. I will give you. I will manage the project. I basically break down a big project into small tasks. Every week you will get every week you will get a task, and every task you will get a few assignments, get a few questions to answer. So that's really a breakdown to help you to go through the steps, so that you can one by one, step by step, you can go through the project and accomplish it. Then I will track the schedule. I'll track the status of the tasks. If some of you are way behind the schedule, I will ping you. I will send you a message. I will send you an email. I will text you on WeChat and say what's going on. What happens? Do you need any help? Then you may tell me, I'm sorry, I've been very busy recently, but I will catch up. So it's basically I will remind you, you have something to work on. But if you have, really have some difficulty in your time, your schedule, and let me know, then we can make it flexible. So I will track you. You're not going to be left alone. I limit the size of each of the projects, so I would have enough attention for each and all of you. So when you get a problem, get a question, you raise it up, either on WeChat or on FreeCam, the project management website. Then if you raise it up on the FreeCam, I will get an email. If you raise the question on WeChat, I will get a message. So anytime I notice there's a question, then I will try to answer you. So you will get almost real-time support on the Q&A. But we have some friends, participants. Actually, they're in China. Given the time difference, 12-hour, 13-hour time zone difference, and also we have participants from the West Coast, and there are some 3-hour time zone difference. So I may not be able to give you the answers immediately as I would hope, but definitely I will get back to you as soon as possible. Definitely within 24 hours. If some cases, very rare occasionally, but because sometimes I got, just swamped, too busy, I may forgot. But you can just remind me. Say, Richard, can you look at my questions I sent you this morning or last night or yesterday? Then I appreciate the reminder, and I will look at your questions and try to get answers to you. And it's not just me here to help. Each and all of you are helping each other. So my goal is to build a community. We are using the WeChat group. We are using the discussion forum on the FreeCam website. So we can share, we can discuss, we can do the brainstorming. That's what I have seen in the previous projects. Someone raised a very interesting question about how we can deal with the missing data in this data set. Then people, chime in. They share their opinions. They share their lessons they have learned. And for the questions like what the classifier would be the best choice, such and such. Each of the students may have their own experience and have their own preference. Then we can share. So we are a knowledge sharing community. So you are encouraged to share to share what you have learned, to share what you know about with other students, because you expect other students will do the same thing to you. By sharing, we learn from each other. Okay, then so definitely we provide you a chance to do the incremental learning. So especially for the beginner students, many of you are very new to Python or very new to analytics, machine learning, data science in general. So once you have experienced and gone through the beginner project, you will learn a lot in Python programming. You will learn a lot in data manipulation, processing, statistical analysis. Then you will go ahead to when you feel comfortable, then you will be recommended to take on the advanced projects. In advanced projects, you will get a chance to really build a fantastic, effective machine learning projects. It might be a classifier. It might be a classification problem. It might be a regression problem. It might be even unsupervised problem, or in the future we gotta work on natural language project. Do some natural language processing, work on some text data. Then also we gotta have the big data projects. So even for advanced projects, you will have the chance to work on some like Spark on the Hadoop environment, work with NoSQL database like MongoDB. You will have the chance to learn deep learning. So we will have deep learning projects coming up early next year. So it's really incremental. We're trying to build the skills from bottom to the much broader discipline. So because data science is really broad, it includes a lot of basic programming skills, basic data manipulation, cleaning, missing data imputation, like statistical inference. Then go ahead to do the clustering, visualization, classification, the traditional machine learning. Then we will have big data. We're using Spark to deal with a large amount of data, and also streaming. If you have real-time data streaming in, like Twitter data or stock quotes streaming in like 24/7, then how we can have a program built upon a distributed parallel computation platform, receive those streaming data and process in real time, and provide intelligence predictions in also real time. So those are the real life projects we will have the chance to work on. So in general, on this platform, DsBlast platform, we will have chance to do the incremental learning. So far so good. Any questions? If you have questions, you can unmute yourself and speak out. Okay, if not, I will go ahead. Okay. So that's why we are taking DsBlast projects. So what projects we may have? What projects look like? So I said before, each project will be broken down into tasks. Then each task would have deadlines. Most of the tasks would have deliverables. You're encouraged to attach your code or notebook with your task once you finish your task, so that I can take a look at what you have done. Then I will give you suggestions. I'll review what you have done. I'll give you suggestions and provide some comments, help you refine, and also understand if there's any anything you can improve. Then another very important about the project is we have a lot of discussion opportunities. So you can raise your questions. You can help other students by answering their questions. You can also share some resources with the peer students as well. So we gotta have very rich discussions, brainstorming during the process of doing the project. We have beginner project, which focus on the fundamentals in programming, like get yourself familiar with Python. That's what I prefer in doing data science. It's really good. And also, you will learn the commonly used analytical methods, and you will get a chance to do some visualization. We'll do some hypothesis testing, regression, or classification. So that will be actual. So for the beginner project, we'll most of the time we'll focus on the fundamental skills, like how we can use the Python, the core Python language, like writing a function, writing a class, how to call a function, and then we move ahead to pandas, which is a very powerful package doing data analysis. We'll get ourselves familiar with data frame, like how to filter and select data, how to do the group by aggregation, and how to do like some visualization using data frame. So such and such. So beginner project will focus on building the foundation for more advanced projects. So once you feel comfortable with the basic skills and techniques, then you move into advanced project. Advanced projects, the expectation is you will handle the program language on your own most of the time, but you may need some help in like feature engineering, and also model building, and also selecting the right model technique, the right algorithms, and also get yourself more experience in model evaluation and explanation, and how we can explain the model and also the results of the model to the audience. So in advanced project, we'll focus more on the machine learning part. In the beginner project, we more focus on the data science part, by and large. Although more properly, probably more like data mining part. But advanced project is learning from the data and try to do the prediction. So that's just very high level categorization of the DsBlast projects. And in the future, with the introduction of Spark and also deep learning, we'll get a little bit more complicated here. But overall, we still have beginner level and advanced level, even for Spark. So we will have beginner Spark and advanced Spark. So for beginner Spark, you will have the chance to learn the basic manipulation of data on the Spark environment, how to do the MapReduce, and how to do the data frame like SQL programming, such and such. Then in the advanced Spark, you will basically utilize or leverage what you have learned from the beginner Spark and build machine learning models on Spark environments. So for deep learning, it's the same idea. Then this is a general project workflow. It's a flow chart. So first we sign up to a project, then you will get a project assignment. And I will tell you what this project is about and where the data is. You can find the data, so you understand what's the goal of the project. then you try to understand. You would try to understand what the data set of this project. Then we will have the kickoff meeting here. You install whatever software you may need. Then you will go ahead to do the ETL, which is data extraction, transformation, the loading. You will load the data into the computation environment. Then you will go ahead to do some exploratory data analysis, which is EDA. You may have multiple phases of EDA. You may have EDA 1, EDA 2, EDA 3. So EDA, you will have the chance to run into different types of data. You may have continuous variables, and you may have categorical variables. For continuous variables, you will do a set of processing and analysis on continuous variables, and you may have to do a different type of processing on categorical variables. Then eventually, once you have done the EDA, you will go ahead and try to build a model, regression model or classification model. Once you have a model built, then you need to evaluate the model using some holdout data to evaluate the performance of the model, and then generate the report. Identify the performance, use some performance metrics to evaluate the performance. Then in the end of the project, you will, especially for advanced project, you're expected to do a presentation, either using a PowerPoint slides or use IPython notebook. So both formats are acceptable. So we will have a video conference online meetup at the end of the project as well. Optionally, we may have another video conference in the middle of the project. It depends. It really depends. It's not mandatory or required. Depends on what the problems or questions each of us may have. So most of the questions I will answer your questions during the process one by one, but it is still an option to have a video conference in the middle of the project. But definitely we will have a conference call in the beginning and end of the project. So those are the most important group activities. So I will share a lot of my knowledge, my expertise, my experience with you, and you may have the chance to speak out, answer questions, do some brainstorming as well. So I encourage you to, if time allows, participate the video conference in the beginning and the end of the project. But I understand the life is busy, and we definitely have no way to have a schedule to suit everyone. So in case you may not be able to make it, we have recordings available online. So once the conference is over, I will send you the link to the video conference recording. So you can read it, you can watch it multiple times offline. Eventually, I will put the recording on YouTube channel. So DsBlast have a dedicated video channel. So we will host the video recordings on the YouTube. So you will have the chance to watch the video now and in the future. The tools we gotta use, first of all, we gotta use freecam.com to do the project management. It's a wonderful, excellent, free project management tool online. So here we manage the team members. So each of you should have already been the team member on your project on freecam. Then here I will assign tasks to you every week. I will assign each of the tasks will have a due date, so that are the schedules. Then try to observe and honor the schedule. Try to finish the project by the due date. The earlier the better. Because if you postpone to that last minute, you may not be able to find the time to do it. Whenever you have the time, in the early stage of the task, try to finish it. Because you may run into some problems you didn't expect. Then you may have enough time to get help and try to look for the answers, get help, and refine your work. And it's also a place to share files. Like if you have a code, you may have some problem running the code. Then you can put the code on FreeCam, as attachment. Then I will get information. I will get an email notification. Then I can take a look. Then I'll give you feedback. It has a very good discussion area. I put some posts and share some relative, resources, the useful information, which I think would, benefit the whole project all the team members. Then I will put that on the project discussion area, so everyone can look at it. So if you post a discussion and you would like to notify everyone on the project, you need to go ahead and check notifications. So basically, what it looks like is on the browser, you type in FreeCamp, then it goes directly to the dashboard. So you will see the project you are in. Then you can expand the task list in different ways. There are different ways to present the tasks. One is in the tiles, like in the dashboard mode. So in this mode, we have no progress column. So it shows who are the team members who have not started tasks. And in progress column, it shows what tasks is already in progress, and the completed column. So it shows what tasks have been completed. So basically, you can just drag and drop the task from one column to another column. But be careful, only drag and only edit the tasks belong to you. So the best practice is use this filter. So filter here, choose user assigned to, and choose your name. So like in this case, you only see the task assigned to you. So you're not going to make such mistake to change the status of some other's task. So that's what I really recommend you to do. Apply this filter, user assigned to, just choose yourself. You can also use the list presentation as well. So it shows the display of all the tasks in a list mode, and also apply the same filter. So like here, you apply this filter, it shows what you have done and what you need to do. So this is really, really great, and I like both mode, the tile mode and also the list mode, and you can choose whatever you prefer. So when you are working on a project, so you can open the task, then on the bottom of the task, you will see the comment area. Then you can ask questions here. And also you can attach a file. Basically, you can drop a file here, like your code, your notebook. If you would like me to take a look, you can drop your code file here. You can type whatever questions you may have here, then add comment. Then I will take a look. Here, you'll get notification. You will send the notification to, if you want me to get notification, then you check me. Then once you put the comment, then I will get the notification. Then for each of the projects, you will have the discussion area, and you will see some posts like the project schedule. I put this for your information. You will see how many weeks we may have for this project and what we're gonna do for each of the project, for each of the task. So that's about the the FreeCam. Then WeChat, we all familiar with WeChat. We all so if you're a team member in the project, you will be a member in the project group chat. So here it's kind of more informal way of discussion. You ask me questions or remind me. There's a question posted on FreeCam. Then I will take a look at your code there. Then in the meantime, I may also use WeChat to remind you about the task schedule and also give you some help, some immediate help. This is what looks like, what happens, both FreeCam and also on the WeChat. On the left side is on the FreeCam. I reviewed a deliverable, the code file of one of the participants in the October projects. So I give him some suggestions in a way of how we can better compute the mutual information, because his method, his doing, his way is too complicated. So I suggested a more effective, more efficient way of doing the same thing. Then he saw that and gave me the feedback. So he says that's much easier, good inspiration. So the benefit of using FreeCam is it can provide much more information on the discussion area and the comment area, and can also have the attachment of the code file. On the right side, we also have benefit of using WeChat, because WeChat is more real time, it's more convenient. So you can also raise questions, hopefully short questions, and I will give you short answers. I'll give you short answers. So if something is too complicated to be handled in WeChat, then I would suggest you to put the question on FreeCam and then attach your code so that I can, take a look at your code, give you a more accurate assessment of the problem and give you a better solution. So we use the combination of these two communication tools to discussion and do the Q&A. So that's the communication tools. Then it comes to the computation tools. So I would recommend you to use Python, and in the ecosystem of Python, we use Anaconda. Anaconda is a wrap. It's kind of a big package which wraps a lot of very useful analytical packages inside. So you only need to install Anaconda, although it's quite big. It's probably 300 megabytes or a little bit more than that. So it's a big package. But once you have installed Anaconda, then it will take care of most of the analytical packages we use, like pandas, like scikit-learn, like visualization package, like matplotlib, and scipy, numpy, on most of the scientific computation, machine learning packages will be included in Anaconda. So make our life much easier. Then I would recommend you to use a IDE. It's called a Spider. And also another choice is to use Jupyter. There are multiple choices of doing the programming. I'll give you a demo of both. So what a Spider looks like. So if you are using Windows like I'm using, you just install Spider. You can go search install Spider in Windows. Then once the Spider is installed, you can type Spider, then just open it up. You can also, if you are using Linux or OS 10, the Mac, you may use the command line to type Spider to bring it up. so right now Spider is starting. It can take a few seconds. In the meantime, I can have a sip of water. So it's an IDE, it's an integrated development environment. So so it's very much like MATLAB. If you use MATLAB before, or if you use RStudio, if you have some experience with RStudio or MATLAB, the interface will look very familiar to you. So on the left panel, you will have the Py file, the code listed here. Then on the right side, you have the kernel. You have the Python console open up for you. So you can just type a command in the console, like here, like a equal to 3, then it's running. You'll get a output as 3. You can also run the statement in the code file, like if you just put the focus, the mouse focus on one line, then hit F9. If you just hit F9 on the keyboard, it will run that particular line of the code. If you select multiple line of the code and then hit F9, just press F9, it will execute the selected code. So it's very convenient. Very important thing is also give you the history, so you can bring up a history. It's not here, but save the history of your code. Then you can take a look at what statements you have executed. So that's Spider. And another choice is IPython notebook or Jupyter notebook. So once you have installed Anaconda, on the command line window, you can type in any directory, in a work directory you prefer. You just type IPython notebook or Jupyter notebook. Most recently, you should type Jupyter, because that's the current name of IPython notebook. So if you type Jupyter notebook, it will take some time to bring up a browser. Then you can switch to your work directory. Then you will have, I'm trying to look for my notebook. So I will have some notebooks, then I can bring up the notebook. So the notebook is pretty much like the console, the IPython console, but it's in a web page. So it's divided into cells, the code cells. So each cell is a block of code. Then when you run the code, you run the code inside a block. So once you put some code in a block, then you can use Shift and Enter to execute the cell. Then it will run the code inside the cell. Then if you need some output, like in this case, it's taking some time to load the data. Then it will output the data output. Like it will print out the output. Like in this case, I'm trying to get the data types of last name, this column. So we'll output the value of this output. So this is a great way for interaction and also presentation, because when you run the cell, the output will be saved in the notebook. So if you send me the notebook at the end of the project, I will I will be able to see the results from your code without running it. So I'm not running the project, the code, but you still can see the output. So the out means the output cell. In means the input cell, which is your code. Okay, so there's a lot of thing about using IPython. So you can add a new cell and convert the code cell to a markdown. So if it's a markdown, then you can use some markdown language to do the documentation. Let's say here is we are getting column name. Then you will get it's become the secondary heading 2 format. So it's in a bold format. It shows it's a large font. It just attract attention to see what's the following code is doing. So I would recommend you to learn more about using IPython. You can do some tutorials or watch some YouTube video to get more familiar with IPython notebook. So that's the tools we most of the time we gotta use in our projects, both beginners and also advanced. So here I would categorize, because we are doing data science, so we're doing classification, clustering, so we're trying to also cluster the ways of participation. I have observed in the previous projects, there are basically 3 or 4 ways of participation. If I put that in coordinates of 2 axes, so the x-axis is communication. How much you would like to ask questions and also share knowledge, share your own opinions. Sometimes you may may not be right about what you're saying, but you like to share what you want to share. So if you're very open, you like asking questions, you like answer questions, then you're very strong in the x-axis. But if you are shy, if you are more closed, you don't ask much questions, you don't share much information, then you're on the lower side of this axis. On the y-axis is how much effort you put into the project. The higher effort, means you worked really hard. The lower the effort means you don't really put a lot of effort into, accomplish the projects. So, so the worst case is you're not putting much information, you're not putting a lot of effort into this project, so you are low in the y-axis, but you are also close up. You don't ask questions, you don't share information. You're also low in the axis. So basically, you're not doing anything. In that case, I will pain you, I will push you, I will urge you, I will encourage you to participate more, to work more, put more effort into the projects. But if for any reason, I cannot twist your arms. So if for any reasons you feel you're not going to put a lot of effort, and sometimes you just have a lot of constraint in time. You're taking 2 interns, you have 10 courses in your school, or you have a major project coming up in your work, let me know. And then we can figure out a solution. We can extend the project time for you, and also in some cases I can postpone you. I can move you from November's project to December or even to January. So talk to me. Let me know what challenges you have, what difficulties you have, what new issues you may have, and we will find a way to work it out. So hopefully you're not going to stay on the left bottom corner. Then the left top, the top left column, the emoji, basically showing you're putting a lot of effort, you work very hard, but you close up. You don't ask questions, you don't ask for help, you don't share information. So basically just, sweating yourself. You work really hard, but you feel frustrated, you feel sometimes, desperate. So in that case, I would encourage you to ask questions, because what you're doing, you may find out there's some more efficient way, more effective way to get the problem solved. Then moving up to the bottom right image, you ask a lot of questions, but you don't put a lot of effort. Whenever you have a problem, you just ask, you just toss the questions out, but you didn't really go through the process of identify the problem, search the solution, try and error, explore the solution. But you just ask questions, trying to get the answers, then solve the problem. In that case, you may get a lot of exposure. I get very familiar with you, but you didn't really learn a lot because you didn't do the self-driven learning. You just get the answers by asking questions. So in that case, I would encourage you to explore the solutions, try to search the solutions, try to do some experiment, try to make some mistakes. Then ask questions. So the best students are on the top right. So you ask questions, you like sharing your insight, and also you work hard. And that's the situation you will find out you learn the most from doing the projects. You will, because there's so much knowledge and so many, techniques and skills and knowledge points in data science. So you need to speak out. You need to push the boundary. So when you push the boundary, you are open up the horizontal. You open up the horizon for you. So you will get a chance to experience more challenges, and you will learn more knowledge. Learn more new techniques. So that's what I would hope and would expect all of you look like on the top right. Work hard. And also ask questions, share insights, share opinions, share your resource, and hopefully you'll find yourself there. Then we may not be able to go through some tutorials, but I will share you some great resource for learning pandas and the scikit-learn. Of course, the best resource for learning those packages are the documentation of themselves. So like for pandas, it has a very good, fantastic tutorial website. So if you go to, if you can't get the link, that's okay. You just search pandas basics tutorial. Then the first link is the pandas tutorial. So it will give you the cookbook of the very basics and the fundamental, very critical skills of using pandas. And each of the tutorial it has used the Jupyter Notebook to show you the code and also show you how to handle and tackle the problems. So I encourage you to spend some time to go through the tutorials, and we don't have enough time to go through each of them. And Scikit as well. So if you search Scikit-learn tutorial or sklearn tutorial, then the first link is the Scikit-learn tutorials. So it will give you a very broad introduction about machine learning and each of the main techniques in statistical learning, supervised learning, model selection, unsupervised learning, and put it together. So such and such. So make it a plan to go through the tutorials, from time to time during the project. Then if you have any questions, raise it up on FreeCam or WeChat, then we'll work together. So enjoy your projects. And I look forward to hearing from you, hearing your questions and progress. I feel most happy is to learn what you have learned. So if you learn something, gain some knowledge, experience, let me know. Share the joy with me, and also share the joy with the team members. So that's what I hope. So I will stop here and open up to questions. So I will unmute everyone. Any questions? Let me check. Yeah, Jupyter can be used on the Windows. You have seen that I'm using Jupyter in Windows 10, and I used Windows 7 before. So no problem. Terminal is not available. Terminal is available. So basically, you just need to if just open a command prompt, then you can type IPython. You will get a console. So that's a terminal. So here you can basically just do the Python programming, like import pandas. You can do the programming in this console. Or you can bring up the notebook in the command window as well. So that's the terminal look like. So hopefully answer your question. For the deliverable, do you prefer Jupyter or PyFile? Yeah, Jupyter might be better if there's not too much problem for you, because as I have demonstrated, Jupyter would have the output saved in the notebook. So if you send me the Jupyter notebook, I will, I will be able to see what the result generated from running your code. So I don't have to run the code to generate the result. So Jupyter is always preferred in deliverable. Okay, so that's great. And I'm very happy to see Ben and many other people helped John get the headset working out. So that's great. That's what we are expecting from each other. We're building a community. We're helping each other. Both in data science and also in some other technical issue as well. Okay. So any more questions? Okay. Examine each of the features and categorize them into profile. So that's the task. Yeah. Can you on the features? So that's more about the data, set we're having for November project.
Yes. So I'm not quite understand what this column means. like profile features. So
right.
I'm not quite understand the question because I loaded the
Sure.
data in and I can see the data, but
Sure.
I'm not sure like about catalog into profile feature or
Yes.
like what kind of things maybe. Yeah.
Yes. So if you open the data, that's a good question. So if you open the data file, it's a let's, let me open a small one.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
So we have a lot of columns. So each column, I call it feature. So in machine learning industry, if you go to like interview, people most likely would say features instead of columns or variables. Statisticians may use variables more often, but data scientists or machine learning engineers, most of the time we use features. So, but with features, it's just columns in the data table. So
okay,
we
sure.
have probably 100 columns, and they are in different natures. So by profile, I mean the profile of the applicants, like for example, like the zip code, address, for example, if it has credit score, it's a profile. It's information about the applicants. Like if it has age information, or it has address information, if it has gender, have income. So those are the information about a person. So that's a profile, right? So that's what I mean by profile feature.
Yeah. So how can I find out? Because now if you didn't explain, like I'm not quite understand, but now I know the profile, like the people's like first name, last name, zip code, credit card, everything about that people. So loan features about everything about that loan, like how how the loan rate, something like that, right?
Right. Yes.
And but how can I solve this? Like because I can understand now, but where can I see like because but I'm still not understanding about the payment features. Can be like how you pay, like how many months you pay. Right. So where can I get these things? Like
no, you just look at the features. Like for example, it has something like how many, like total total payment of total payment. So that's the information about the payment. Like last payment date, right? And also last payment amount. And what's the next payment date? So those are the information about payment.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, it will be very beneficial for us to categorize the features into different groups, because the columns here, they mix them up, and it's if you just use all of them, a lot of them doesn't really make sense. So that's why the first task I ask you to do is to categorize the features into different groups.
So
and you will have some features.
So yeah, I understand now. But should I using program to do that, or I just make a notepad? Okay.
Yeah. There's no way to use program. Just that's part of our work. As a data scientist, a lot of time we need to understand the data. We need to have some domain knowledge. So this is the case of we have to use some intuition, or just our human basic sense to understand the features, then put them into different categories. So just by eyeballing, looking at those features and do some judgment.
Okay, got you. So basically, we need to manually look at this about 100 to 200 columns, like features, and then we manually catalog this 100, 200 to something like a profile feature. Okay. And so the next question is also the same. Some column is like a memory or some is string. So we need to catalog them by the type of these columns, right?
Right. Yes. So need to categorize into the. So that's more about the data types. So it's a continuous type or it's a categorical type.
Okay, I got you.
You're right. Right.
So
that's
so
different.
now I understand what should I do. Okay.
Okay.
So
cool.
One more question about this load the data into a list of dictionary. But I'm new to this data science, so I know the record column, but I'm not quite understand the definition of this dictionary means.
So a dictionary is like so I'm define a dictionary, say name, Richard, gender, male. So this is a dictionary. So if you say type A, will give you dict, which is dictionary. So if you have another, if you have multiple person, so you say B, name is John, and gender is also male. So now you have two dictionary. Then you can put them into a list. So you say list, then list append A. Then now the first person is in list. Then you can append another person B into the list. Now the list have two persons. Then you can check the length of the list. Now you have two elements in the list. So this is a list of dictionary. So each element in the list is a dictionary.
Okay, so the target for this task is you would like us put every row of this every row into one dictionary and then make a list of dictionaries, right?
Right.
So each row is a dictionary.
Right. Yes. So each row will be a dictionary, like a dictionary of a loan. So each loan will be a dictionary. So then the dictionary will have the keys like name, age, zip code, address. Those are the keys. Then the values are the values of the values of zip code, the value of the credit score, just like the name and the gender. Then each application will be a loan. Each loan will be a dictionary, and those dictionary will be part of a list. So you don't have to put all of the rows in a list. You can just demonstrate. Just take the first 100 rows as a dictionary and put that into a list. Because if you put everything on a list, it will take a lot of time.
So this is another follow-up question about this dictionary and the record. So what's the difference of this dictionary? Because I'm very familiar with the record, but what's the difference with dictionary and the record?
In Python, there's no such type as record.
Okay, gotcha.
That's in Python the structure basically dictionary is very much like a map. So if you're familiar with Java or C++, it's like a map.
Object. So to me, it's something like one object, right?
Yeah, it's a key value pair. So it has a key as a value. So dictionary is a mapping between a key and a value. Then so it's very common data structure. And another common data structure is list, as we have observed, and the third one is set. So set is different than list, in the way of all the elements in a set must be unique. So if a list has, if you say a list equal to 3, 4, 3, and 3 and 4, 5. Now the length of this list would be 5. But if you make it a set, say, convert the list to a set, then the length of the set would be smaller because it only has unique value in the set.
Okay.
So a lot of time it's very useful get the unique elements in the list.
Okay. So when you say the data structure, the first line is load the data into list of record. So what do you mean on the recorder here? Because to me, recorder dictionary means one thing, right?
Yeah, sorry. So here it's a little bit ambiguous, but what I meant is each record is a dictionary.
Okay, so these 2 points actually just one thing, right? So you put these two, you put these 2 bullets here, but actually it's just one
yeah,
part.
you can just make it as one.
Okay, got you. And so the same for the preview one, because I'm using Panda package. I'm trying to learn Panda package, but I see that we can using different like a CSV package. So should I try to using both one, or I should just using Panda?
So the point here is let you experiment different packages, because in Python there are always multiple ways of doing same thing, but they may not have the same quality or same efficiency or effectiveness. So if traditionally before pandas was available, people using CSV to read CSV files, and actually if the file is not really kind of a data format, we still use CSV a lot. So it's always good to know how to use more general package like CSV package to read a CSV file. But pandas is much more efficient.
Yes. Okay, gotcha. So we need to practice CSV, but we still familiar with Panda. But to me, Panda is much easier compared to CSV. But
right.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
So basically, just give you some, the chance to try and experience some other packages as well.
Thank you very much.
John's question: do we need to combine all 6 files into one data set? So in the for the beginner project, we don't really have to, but for advanced project, we will use earlier years of data to do the training. Then we use 2016 data to do the testing. So we will build a model using years of like 2013 through 2015 to build a model, then use the 2016 data to train a model. To evaluate the model. But for beginner project, that's not really mandatory. It's optional if you want to do it. But if we put all the data together, the data set will be very big. But it's optional. You can do it.
So that means for each of the files, we will load into different data set.
Yeah. So when we are doing the some exploratory analysis, we can do different data set. But you still can merge like 2 years worth of data, like 2013 and 2014, and merge them together. Then do the analysis on the larger data set as well. So either way is fine. The point here is not really on the size of the data, but is how we deal with the data, what we can do with the data.
Yes, my follow-up question is, I practice to use Jupyter Notebook and to do the data loading.
Yeah.
But when my experience is when I open the Jupyter Notebook for quite a long time, and there's a lot of variables inside it, the performance will be an issue. Sometimes the system will be very slow.
Yeah.
So in this case, how do you have any recommendations to handle these performance issues?
Yeah. So it really depends on how much memory your computer has.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a lot of memory, sometimes you may have to delete the variable. Just use DL and like say like DL A. So that will variable, the memory of that variable will be released. So if one variable has a lot of data, holding a lot of data, and you're not going to use that anymore, then you can just delete it.
Yeah, I know in Jupyter Notebook, there's on the top selections we have one is called the clean up the kernel or something like that. So it's restart and clean the output like this one. But this one will clean up all the output. Will this clean up the variable or the
if you want to just clear one particular variable, you still can run delete command here. You just say delete
that one
variable name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, this is a follow-up on this one. I have the same question because for me, I can load this file without issue, but in a real time, the file will be huge. So it's much larger. So
what do you mean by real time?
Yeah, something like
real life or real project.
Yeah, something like a real big data. So the data can be like a gigabyte level. So we cannot load into memory. So how can we because I see I see how you load these files, but using Panda package something like that. But if the file is larger than what our memory can survive, so how should we do that?
So Pandas has its limitation. So what we are doing now in current project is basically just using single machine capability to handle the data set which is within the memory capacity. But if in case we are working on a data set which is way more than the memory can handle, then we have to use Spark. We gotta use, even Spark has memory limitation as well. So in that case, you will in the real life project you will need a cluster computation environment like Hadoop to manage the a cluster of computers. So each of the computer would take a share of the workload, and the huge data set will be split to each of the computers on the cluster. So the data on each computer is within its own memory capacity. So in that case, that's what we gotta have in the future. We gotta have some Spark project coming up. So that goes into the big data domain, which is beyond our current project. So current project is more, it's kind of more traditional machine learning, but that's the basic of a in a big data environment. The idea, the philosophy, the algorithms are the same. So we're kind of the building blocks into a more challenging problem.
So since you're not talking about Spark, I know maybe it's kind of too early to ask this question. So I know that Spark, is I think the programming will, the code will not be, very difficult. But I think for me, some of the difficulties to set up the environment, such as set up a Hadoop environment and set up a Spark environment. So do you have any recommendations to? Is there any preset environments that we can test on? When we working on.
Actually, it's getting much easier. It's nowadays it's very easy to set up a Spark environment. So Spark works fine on both Hadoop or without Hadoop. So you don't need Hadoop to run Spark. So for us, for training and for basically just learning purpose, we don't need to set up a very complicated or very expensive cluster environment with Hadoop. So we don't need that because that's more like an engineering thing. We're more interested in machine learning, data science. We want to spend our time on the most interesting, most challenging, most exciting stuff, which is the data science. So for that purpose, you don't need have Hadoop. You don't need to have a cluster. You can run Spark in Windows. You can run Spark in Linux and also Mac.
Actually, I tried the Cloudera, like a VM, like a Cloudera has a preset VM, has all the like a Hadoop, Spark, everything got set up. I tried that; it's pretty cool. And you may need like a machine with like a 16 gigabyte memory, like a 24 gigabyte memory, but the Cloudera's like a preset VM is pretty cool for
So you can use Cloudera, you can use HoudonWorks, some they provide some pre-configured virtual machine, but you don't need that. Actually, Apache Spark itself has Windows support. So like I installed just the pure Apache Spark in Windows. So I'm using Windows 10. Then I can just type PySpark to bring up Spark console. So it's all possible. But since this is not really a Spark project, just give you an idea of in the future we can use Spark. It's not too hard. It's not too hard to get Spark working on a computer. So I'm not using any virtual machine. I'm not using any Docker container. It's running on Windows. So
sure. Okay, thank you. I think thank you very much. I need to update my information about this.
No problem. Yeah, so the technology is changing every day, and so that's why it's crucial we share information. So it's crucial we have such community. You ask questions, someone may have answer to you. Then someone other, they may have questions, you may have an answer to them. So by sharing information, we all learn from each other.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Okay. So that'll be all. I don't know what happened to record. I hope it's still recording, but I don't know. But anyway, so that's all. If you have any questions, we have WeChat, we have FreeCam to ask questions. So hopefully, this video conference is useful, is valuable to all of you. And I wish you a good night.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.